Have you ever paused to consider the deeper meaning behind the month you were born in? At first, it might sound like something trivial, a small curiosity without much importance. But to Carl Jung, one of the most influential minds in psychology, the date of your birth was anything but random. In fact, he believed it was deeply connected to symbolic forces that shape who we are at the core. Jung proposed that the month in which you were born carries more than just seasonal significance. It acts like a symbolic gateway, revealing essential clues about your psychological makeup, your inner potential, the emotional lessons you're here to learn, and even the kind of energy you naturally bring into the world. It's not fortune-telling or superstition, but a psychological lens through which we can gain more insight into ourselves. Let's imagine for a moment that understanding the symbolism of your birth month could unlock hidden parts of your personality, that it could offer you greater clarity on your habits, emotions, and even your purpose in life. Sounds dramatic, right? But once we begin to look at Jung's theories on archetypes, the collective unconscious, and the patterns of nature, this idea starts to make a lot more sense. In this exploration, we're going to dive into Carl Jung's symbolic interpretation of time, specifically how each month of the year holds a distinct psychological energy, and how that energy may subtly influence the personality traits, emotional tendencies, and even the spiritual direction of people born within it. But before we begin, if you're someone who values depth, meaning, and self-discovery, consider subscribing to our channel. We regularly bring content that challenges conventional thinking and invites you to reflect more deeply on who you are and what drives you. By joining us, you'll be part of a community that seeks growth, not through surface-level advice, but through profound inner understanding. Now take a deep breath, because what you're about to hear might not only change how you view your birth month, but also how you see your story, your patterns, and the journey you've been walking all along. It's not about putting people into boxes. It's about revealing the patterns already woven into the fabric of your being. Let's start with Carl Jung's central belief, that the universe is full of repeating patterns, what he called archetypes. These are universal images, stories, and energies that appear across all cultures, myths, and human experiences. They exist both outside and inside us. And Jung believed that we each carry a unique combination of these archetypes within us, shaping how we think, feel, and act. What's more, he believed that nature's cycles, like the seasons, also mirror these archetypes. The cold stillness of winter, the blossoming energy of spring, the full radiance of summer, and the reflective quiet of autumn. Each season corresponds to a different psychological energy. And because each month belongs to a specific part of the year, it too carries symbolic weight. According to Jung, the month of your birth isn't merely a line on a calendar, it's a symbolic imprint. It's the moment in time when you entered the world, and that moment is rich with meaning. The environment, the energy of the season, the light or darkness, the sense of beginning or ending, all of this shapes the emotional and symbolic atmosphere into which you were born. Think about March, for example, a month of transition. It's the northern hemisphere. It marks the shift from winter to spring. The snow melts, the days get longer, and life begins to stir again. For Jung, someone born in a transitional month, like March or September, when summer gives way to fall, may carry within them a dual nature. They might feel pulled between two worlds, between stillness and motion, introspection and expression. These individuals often have a heightened sensitivity to change. They're attuned to shifts in their environment and emotions, and they tend to seek harmony between opposites. Now compare that to someone born in a month like January or July. These are periods of stability when a season has fully set in. People born during these months often embody the energy of structure and consistency. Jung associated them with archetypes of perseverance, inner strength, and long-term vision. They're the builders, the organizers, the ones who naturally seek to create order and solid ground. There's a psychological resilience in them, a capacity to endure and to help others do the same. What Jung found fascinating is that time itself is not neutral. It has a rhythm, a mood, and a story. And when we're born at a specific point in this unfolding story, we absorb a certain symbolic tone, like a background melody, that subtly influences our thoughts, behaviors, and emotional responses. It doesn't determine your destiny, but it provides a map, a symbolic framework that you can use to understand yourself better. This symbolic map doesn't tell you what you must do. Rather, it reveals the energies you're likely to encounter within yourself, both the strengths you can rely on and the shadows you're meant to confront. For Jung, self-knowledge is the key to freedom, and part of that self-knowledge comes from understanding the archetypal forces you were born into. The fascinating part of this idea is that it takes something we usually overlook, like the month we were born, and turns it into a powerful tool for introspection. Suddenly, the date on your birth certificate isn't just a fact, it's a doorway, a way to connect with the deeper rhythms of nature, psychology, and the soul. So now we arrive at the real question. What does your birth month say about your soul's journey? Each month, according to Jung's symbolic thinking, connects to a particular archetype, a timeless inner pattern that lives within all of us but is more dominant in some people than others. Understanding these patterns can reveal why you're drawn to certain roles in life, why some challenges repeat, and where your natural wisdom lies. In the sections ahead, we'll explore the meaning behind each month of the year, from the silent depth of January to the mysterious transformation of November. You'll see how Jung's understanding of archetypes allows us to find significance in the rhythms of time itself. We'll begin by walking through the symbolism of the early months of the year, and you might find reflections of yourself in places you never expected. But keep in mind, this isn't about fitting into a mold. The archetypes Jung described are not boxes, they're mirrors. They don't limit you, they help you recognize what's already inside you but maybe hasn't yet been named. So if you're ready to discover the symbolic energy behind your month of birth, and how it may be quietly influencing your choices, your emotions, and your personal growth, then continue with us on this journey. In the next part, we'll begin exploring month by month, diving into the specific archetypes that Jung associated with each time of year, starting with January, February, and March, and continuing all the way to December. What you find might not only surprise you, but reconnect you to a part of yourself you've long forgotten. Now that we've explored Carl Jung's idea that your birth month holds symbolic meaning, serving as a reflection of the archetypal forces that shape your inner life, it's time to look at each month individually. Jung didn't see these months as arbitrary divisions of time, but as symbolic phases in the grand cycle of nature. Each carries its own psychological tone, and those born within each month may find themselves naturally resonating with certain universal patterns or archetypes. Let's begin this symbolic journey through the calendar and uncover what each month might reveal about the inner landscape of your soul. January, the archetype of the elder or the sage. January begins with silence. In many parts of the world, it is the coldest, quietest time of year, a season of stillness, reflection, and introspection. It represents not only a new beginning, but also a pause to contemplate the year that came before. Jung associated January with the archetype of the elder or the sage. People born in January often carry a sense of depth, maturity, and responsibility, even from a young age. They may not always be the most outspoken, but when they speak, others listen. There's a natural wisdom about them, an ability to reflect on life from a broader perspective. They tend to value long-term goals, inner stability, and practical wisdom. Though they may seem reserved, they are often quietly determined and incredibly grounded. But like all archetypes, this one has its shadow. The sage can become overly cautious, overly serious, or detached. January-born individuals may struggle to stay connected to joy or spontaneity if they carry too much of this serious energy. The key is to embrace their wisdom while remembering to allow space for lightness. February. The archetype of the visionary or the revolutionary. February still holds the chill of winter, but something begins to shift. There is an undercurrent of change, of potential, of what could be. For Jung, this month resonates with the archetype of the visionary, the one who sees beyond the present into what is possible. Those born in February often possess a strong imagination, a love of innovation, and a drive to break away from the status quo. They tend to be independent thinkers who don't like being confined by traditional structures. There's something slightly rebellious in their nature, not for the sake of rebellion itself, but because they see a different way forward. Many of them are deeply creative and emotionally sensitive, even if they don't always show it. However, the visionary can sometimes feel isolated or misunderstood. They live in the realm of ideas and ideals, which can make day-to-day reality feel limiting or frustrating. The challenge for those born in February is to find ways to ground their insights and bring their visions into the real world. March, the archetype of the reborn or the awakener. March marks a powerful turning point. In the Northern Hemisphere, it signals the beginning of spring, life awakening again after the cold sleep of winter. In Jung's symbolic view, March belongs to the archetype of the reborn, the one who emerges from darkness into light, from dormancy into growth. People born in March often have a deep emotional sensitivity. They feel things intensely and may have a strong intuitive sense of the world around them. There is often a spiritual or artistic quality to them, a connection with nature, cycles, and emotional renewal. These are the people who can reinvent themselves many times over in life. They are resilient, even if they appear delicate. The danger for the reborn is in becoming overwhelmed by their own emotional depth or losing themselves in their inner world. March-born individuals may need to be mindful of boundaries and balance their rich inner life with a grounded outer presence. April, the archetype of the warrior or the initiator. April bursts onto the scene with energy and movement. The days grow longer, life accelerates, and everything seems to be in motion. This month carries the fiery, active energy of the warrior or the initiator, the archetype of courage, action, and personal will. Those born in April often have a bold, assertive nature. They're natural starters, always ready to dive into something new. There's a passionate intensity about them, and they tend to lead even when they're not trying to. They don't hesitate to fight for what they believe in, and they bring a contagious energy to the people around them. However, the warrior archetype can become impulsive or aggressive if not balanced with awareness. April-born individuals might struggle with patience or have a tendency to burn out from pushing too hard. Their growth lies in learning when to act and when to pause. May, the archetype of the builder or the lover of simplicity. May is a time of beauty, blossoming, and stability. Nature is in full bloom, and there's a calm strength in the air. Jung would associate May with the archetype of the builder, the one who values creation, patience, and the pleasures of life. People born in May often have a grounded, sensual nature. They find comfort in routine, appreciate beauty, and are deeply connected to the physical world. They may be drawn to art, nature, food, and all things that engage the senses. There's a nurturing and loyal quality to them, and they tend to be steady in their pursuits. The challenge for May-born individuals is to avoid becoming too rigid or too attached to comfort. The builder can resist change out of fear of losing stability. Their evolution comes through learning how to embrace growth without sacrificing their deep connection to what's real and lasting. June, the archetype of the seeker or the mediator. June sits at the midpoint of the year, balancing the first half with what's yet to come. It is a time of brightness, curiosity, and movement. According to Jung's symbolic view, June resonates with the archetype of the seeker, the one who yearns for understanding, connection, and truth. Those born in June often have quick minds and open hearts. They're inquisitive, adaptable, and socially gifted. There's often a playful, youthful energy about them, mixed with a deep need to explore life's bigger questions. They make excellent communicators and tend to have a strong desire to connect ideas, people, and experiences. The seeker's challenge is focus. With so many interests and ideas, they may struggle to stick with one path or one decision. They can also become overwhelmed by overthinking or trying to please everyone. Their growth lies in learning to center themselves while still exploring the world. As we can see, each month carries its own symbolic tone, its own invitation to explore a particular part of the psyche. And for Jung, these aren't stereotypes. They are symbolic mirrors that help us reflect on who we are at our core. In the next part, we'll explore the meanings behind the months from July to December, months filled with emotion, transformation, leadership, and inner wisdom. And perhaps in one of them, you'll begin to recognize your own inner calling more clearly than ever before. As we continue our symbolic journey through the months of the year, we now turn to the second half, from July to December. These months carry deeper, often more complex energies. Jung believed that the latter part of the year reflected processes of maturation, emotional depth, and a stronger call to transformation and meaning. Let's explore what each of these months reveals about the archetypes you may carry if you were born within them, and how this insight can help guide you toward greater self-understanding. July, the archetype of the protector or the nurturer. July arrives with warmth, family gatherings, and emotional richness. It's a month deeply connected to care, connection, and inner life. Jung would associate July with the archetype of the nurturer or the protector, those who are instinctively attuned to the emotional needs of others. People born in July often have strong emotional intelligence. They may be deeply empathetic, compassionate, and fiercely loyal to those they love. There is usually a strong connection to family, roots, memory, and tradition. These individuals often become the emotional center of their communities, offering safety and comfort to those around them. However, the shadow of the nurturer can be self-neglect. July-born people may give so much to others that they forget to care for themselves. They may suppress their own feelings in order to keep the peace. Their growth lies in learning to protect themselves as much as they protect others. August, the archetype of the leader or the sovereign. August carries a bold and radiant energy. It's a time of full expression, of confidence, vitality, and visibility. For Jung, this month reflects the archetype of the king or queen, also known as the sovereign. Those born in August often have a commanding presence. They possess natural leadership qualities, a strong sense of identity, and a deep desire to make an impact. While they may enjoy attention, it's usually because they feel called to lead, to serve, or to guide others toward something greater. Yet, leadership comes with its own challenges. The sovereign can fall into pride, control, or even isolation if they feel misunderstood or unsupported. August-born individuals grow by learning humility, compassion, and the importance of shared power. When in balance, they become true visionaries, empowering others while walking with strength and grace. September, the archetype of the analyst or the perfectionist. September brings with it the shift toward autumn in the northern hemisphere. It's a time of harvest, organization, and preparation. Jung connected this period with the archetype of the analyst, the one who seeks to understand the world through logic, order, and clarity. Those born in September often have sharp minds and a natural ability to bring structure out of chaos. They're detail-oriented, disciplined, and drawn to tasks that require focus and precision. They may be planners, organizers, researchers, people who feel most at peace when everything is in its place. But the analyst's strength can become a burden when it leans into perfectionism. September-born individuals may be overly self-critical or rigid. They may fear mistakes and struggle to accept uncertainty. Their path of growth lies in learning to embrace imperfection as part of the human experience and to allow room for spontaneity, creativity, and self-compassion. October, the archetype of the diplomat or the artist. October is a time of beauty, balance, and changing colors. The energy of this month is one of harmony, aesthetics, and emotional connection. Jung saw October as embodying the archetype of the diplomat or the artist, those who seek peace, beauty, and unity in the midst of life's dualities. People born in October are often gifted in relationships. They have a natural sense of fairness, an eye for beauty, and a deep desire to bring people together, whether through art, conversation, or simply their presence. They build bridges where others see walls. Many October-born individuals are romantics, at heart valuing love, truth, and deep emotional connection. The shadow side of this archetype is the fear of conflict. Diplomats may avoid confrontation to preserve peace, even when it comes at a personal cost. Their growth involves learning to stand firmly in their truth, knowing that true harmony isn't about avoiding conflict, but resolving it consciously. November, the archetype of the alchemist or the deep transformer. November is a month wrapped in mystery. The light fades, the world grows quieter, and we begin turning inward. For Jung, this is a deeply symbolic time, a month governed by the archetype of the alchemist or the transformer. Those born in November are often intense, intuitive, and spiritually oriented. They carry within them a desire to go beyond appearances and uncover what lies beneath. These are individuals who aren't afraid to face the darkness, whether in themselves or others. They are seekers of truth, often undergoing profound personal transformations throughout their lives. The alchemist's journey is not easy. It involves pain, surrender, and rebirth. November-born people may go through cycles of loss and renewal, constantly evolving. Their challenge is to trust the process and not become overwhelmed by it. When they embrace their depth without fear, they become powerful healers and guides for others. December, the archetype of the wise teacher or the visionary sage. December marks the close of the year, a time of endings, reflection, and hope for new beginnings. Jung saw this month as aligning with the archetype of the wise teacher or the visionary sage. People born in December often carry a blend of maturity and optimism. They reflect on the past with wisdom while looking toward the future with faith. These individuals tend to have a broad view of life and are often philosophical, spiritual, or idealistic in nature. They may feel drawn to share their insights with others, to guide, to inspire, or to expand consciousness. But even the sage faces challenges. They may become disconnected from the present, overly focused on abstract ideas, or disillusioned when life doesn't match their ideals. Their path to growth involves anchoring their wisdom in everyday life, using it not just to think or teach, but to live meaningfully. As we've seen, each birth month, through Jung's symbolic lens, reflects a different facet of human experience. From the stillness of January to the expansive vision of December, the calendar becomes more than a tool for measuring time. It becomes a symbolic map for understanding your inner world. Jung never intended these archetypes to define or limit anyone. Rather, he saw them as keys, starting points for a deeper dialogue with the soul. The archetype associated with your birth month may highlight your natural strengths, emotional tendencies, and the life themes you're here to explore. But it's up to you to work with these symbols consciously. Real transformation doesn't come just from knowing your archetype. It comes from integrating it into how you live, how you choose, and how you grow. Jung called this the process of individuation, becoming the most whole, authentic version of yourself. That journey is unique for every person. And the more you learn to recognize the symbolic forces at play in your life, the more freedom you have to shape your destiny with awareness and meaning. Your birth month doesn't define you, but it can reveal something essential about the path your soul is walking. And now that you've glimpsed this map, perhaps you'll see yourself and your story with new eyes.